Interesting part of how people have talked about your role here is how your role has reshaped the perception of masculinity. And I'm not sure you planned on that, but you are an incredibly supportive spouse. Has that been an evolution for you? And do you think that's part of the role you might play as first gentleman?
It's funny, I've started to think a lot about this. I've always been like this. My dad was like this. And to me, it's the right thing to do, you know, support women. When we lift up women, we support women, whether it's pay equity, childcare, family leave, and all these issues that, you know, this post-Dobbs hellscape, women should not be less than.
There's a pop culture phrase, wife guy, which you've kind of been known as. Are you familiar with this?
I've heard about it.
As called a wife guy, a proud wife guy? How do you feel about that?
Well, if I do something annoying to Kamala and she gets upset, I'll just show her that.
So really, this creep, folks, Doug Emhoff, the second gentleman creep, he's basically, I think, telegraphing or showing Jen Psaki here how he uses his hand to slap around defenseless women, which I'm sure he's probably done that, you know, with Kamala Harris. There's no doubt in my mind this guy's a serial, you know, woman abuser. And the fact of the matter is, and we're going to get into the Daily Mail article that's just, you've got to go to Daily Mail. It is, I mean, a very lengthy read, but it is very, very, very well documented, folks, in terms of, you know, the alleged smack of, you know, his previous girlfriend from like 12, 13 years ago or whatever, but it is well documented. Also going into the fact how he, you know, basically had an affair with his child's nanny. And this is the person that's supposed to exude the new type of masculinity for men. And Jen Psaki, you know, has a nerve. Well, listen, these folks always have the nerve, folks. They don't give a damn. If he was a transgender, they'd say he is the epitome of a transgender. If he was homosexual, they said he is the epitome of the new homosexual, the new homo-heterosexual man, the metrosexual man. That's what they would have done. Whatever it is, they would have done. And one thing, Jen, babe, honey, what the hell is with these freaking shoes? I know it must be something brand new, the new fad, but boy, it just makes it, I mean, it's just stupid looking. Honey, it's just real. Let me mansplain it to you, all right? I mean, you would have been better off with just a pair of sneakers, a pair of, you know, business style, or even, you know, I mean, loafers. I mean, you could have just gone with, you know, low heel pumps. But no, you decided to wear, I don't know, burlap wraparounds or something here. I mean, it's just a very, very silly, stupid look. All right, so that's enough of the fashion stuff. Let's get to the Daily Mail and go through that, folks. And it's just to elevate this guy. And then I just want to say, they say that the term is wife guy. Well, we have a term for that in the vernacular. It's basically being called pussy whipped, henpecked, right? And I don't think this guy, based on his history of being, you want to talk about toxic masculinity? This Doug Emhoff, second gentleman, he is a poster child for toxic masculinity, Jen Babe. You forgot to put that in. You just basically talk about masculinity. You forgot to add the toxic part. If you want to talk, that's an interview with a toxic masculinity. That's toxic. But that's not masculine. But since you feminists are the ones that coined that word together, well, Doug Emhoff is the poster child for toxic masculinity. Now let's get to that article and go through some of the details of the history of this toxic masculine male that the left and the Democrats want to prop up as the epitome of what all men ought to strive for. Are you effing crazy? So this is the article from the Daily Mail, UK. Kamala Harris's husband, Doug Emhoff, forcefully slapped ex-girlfriend for flirting with another man in booze-fueled assault after date to star-studded gala. Goes on to say that the second gentleman allegedly struck the woman in the face so hard she spun around while they were waiting in a valet line late at night after a May 2012 Cannes Film Festival event in France. One of her friends told Daily Mail the woman called him immediately after the incident, sobbing in her cab, and described the alleged assault. Now, Daily Mail, they said they're not naming the woman. She's a successful New York attorney, but they're going to refer to her by the pseudonym Jane. A second friend corroborated the incidents. A third friend told Daily Mail that Jane first told her in 2014 that she had dated Emhoff and recounted the full story of the abuse in 2018, when then Senator Harris was in the news for grilling Justice Brett Kavanaugh. And we all know over that, fraudulent, testimony that was being incurred, against Brett Kavanaugh over alleged, sexual assault allegations. Now, the friends have been asked not to be named for fear of retaliation by Emhoff or whatever, but here you can see a picture with his girlfriend at the time. They've obviously concealed her face, but this man is a serial abuser, folks, based on all kinds of people that have come out, talked about his anger issues and whatever. Here he is as a second gentleman. And as they go, the shocking allegations are a striking contrast to Emhoff's benevolent image promoted by the Harris campaign. Well, of course, folks, they're not going to say that he's a serial wife beater, serial woman abuser, or those kind of things. Of course they're not going to say that. Come on. They're going to paint him in the best light. He's a new image of masculinity. Now, here's these revelations are that Doug Emhoff cheated on his first wife around 2008, impregnating his daughter's nanny. They say allegedly. I don't know how you allegedly impregnate somebody, but I guess that's just the terminology people use. But then it says Emhoff admitted the affair. So now we're using the word allegedly. So they just had an affair but no sex. Is that what you're trying to tell me? So all three of Jane's friends told him a disturbing alleged incident during her relationship in which Emhoff nonchalantly admitted to impregnating Naylor. Emhoff told Jane that the nanny accused him of causing her to have a miscarriage. According to friends, Emhoff did not say how he was allegedly responsible for the miscarriage, although he probably was responsible for the carriage. But he did confess to Jane that he paid Naylor a settlement of about $80,000, and the nanny signed a non-disclosure agreement. So the article goes on to say, previously dubbed by Democrats as a wife guy and a mensch, a Yiddish term for an honorable, kind man. Boy, if I was Jewish, I'd be like saying, what the hell are we you are using the word mensch? Really? I don't know what the Jewish word for creep or, white, woman abuser is, but I'd like to know. Some Jewish people wouldn't mind, or if you have Jews in the comments below, what do you call a person that, abuses women? What's a Yiddish word, for that? And then, of course, Jen, I'm a communist Saki, socialist Saki. She absolutely has this fawning interview, which we just saw the clip before. I mean, you would think that, she's basically telegraphing to Doug, hey, Dougie, I'd love to have you, a piece of you, the new masculine male. I mean, she was dripping all over him. I mean, and for her to, and she knows all about this. She knows about impregnating the nanny. She knows about smacking Jane around. She knows all of this, but yet, to get that image out there, she has this absolutely fake, fraud, bullshit interview elevating the second gentlemanhood, elevating, Doug Emhoff, the second gentleman, to what, like a saintly pedestal for which men are supposed to try to attain that benevolent image, to strike to the heart of that? That's unbelievable, folks. Here's oh, looky here. The incident took place after the two attended a Cinema Against AIDS event at the Hotel du Cap in south of France, where model Heidi Klum and guess who? Serial woman abuser Harry Weinstein is. Weinstein. Imagine that, folk. Birds of a feather flock together. Oh my God! It just continues to go on. So you can see here. So this just goes more and more of her relating, what was going on, her talking to her friends, letting them know what was happening. So also it's, she's giving information that, this, I guess, dating, that romance and, going out together and being with Doug Emhoff back in those days. She's bringing the receipts as to, airline tickets that they used to fly with together, hotel tickets. Here's an email saying we aren't staying at the Negresco because the rooms they still had available were uber expensive. But I did book a room at the Concord, which is a couple of blocks down the street. Goes on to say, it says I've also attached our itinerary. It says unfortunately we have to leave a day earlier than you so that Doug can be back in LA for his daughter's birthday. So she's writing an email to her friends basically saying that here's a hotel that we're staying in Nice and we've got to leave early because Doug's got to be back for his daughter's birthday. Isn't that special? Isn't that special? Now, she basically said that she put her hand on the valet's shoulder, and as she was talking to him, Doug comes up. She said he turned her around by her right shoulder. She was completely caught off guard. He hauled up and slapped her so hard she spun around. She said she was in utter shock. Well, thankfully, even though she was furious, she still had her mind about her. She said that she slapped him on one side and on the other side with the other hand. And then he forced himself into the taxi. She wanted to go back to the room or wherever she was going back to. He forced herself in the taxi, and she goes, I think she asked him, what the F was that all about in the car? And the only thing she could really get out of him was that he thought she was hitting on the valet. And it just goes on to, here's more pictures. So you folks can go ahead, take a look. It's, like I said, it's a very, this is the nanny. Najee Naylor left. This is the nanny that he had the affair with, allegedly, who signed an NDA, was paid $80,000 to keep quiet. But he's admitted the affair. He just hasn't admitted the fact that what she claims that he caused a miscarriage. Which, I mean, unless he was, putting hands on her, and not the kind of hands that you do make a baby, but the kind of hands that he did with, Jane, and smacking Jane around. And so this supposedly is, if this is Naylor now, I know it's been like 12 years or whatever, but boy, did somebody let something go. Just saying. Anyways, folks, We appreciate you taking the time to watch. You've been watching the Dr. Nasir Shaikh Show. I've been your host. My name is Dr. Nasir. If you've done so already, we'd love you to subscribe to the channel, like, share, and follow. Y'all know what to do. Take a look at our video links above and below. My final thought is always, when you're right, you're right, and when you're left, you're wrong. Until next time, folks, take care and stay safe.